Hello and welcome to the N-Hance color modification tutorial video for the stylized human NPCs. So as you can see here, I'll kind of showcase what it is you can do. That way you can kind of decide if it's something you actually want to do. So you can see I've already modified all of these so that they use a single texture file that loads into memory rather than a red one duplicated, tweaked to blue. Now you've got two in memory, duplicated, tweaked to white. Now you've got three loaded in your video memory. Like that's a lot of extra textures loading into your VRAM that you don't necessarily need to do. So what I've done is I've basically turned the normal texture into a grayscale texture and masked out the parts that I didn't want to be colored. So in other words, the metal pieces will never be colored because it's metal, it doesn't need to be. Same thing for leather parts or like the gold part and the metal part on this hammer. All fully tweakable with color settings. So let's go ahead and take a quick look. And I'll show another video of how the textures were done. So those of you that are actually interested can watch the second video later on and kind of, see if it's something you're interested in learning how to do yourself in case you want to tweak something on here. Maybe you do want this belt armor metal part to be colored, or maybe you want the tools to be colored as well at the same time. So let's go ahead and get right into this. So as it stands, I've set two colors up for every arm, or for the master material, which we can see right here. So you've got your master material, right? You still got the same essential settings, except now you have a mask 2, which are linked to color and color 2. So you can see that I've used red, and now you could literally just choose whatever color you want. Maybe you want something like white, and I'm not going to OK these because I don't want to lose my color schemes, but you can choose one for all those pieces. So you got the two color choices, right? So you can come up with plenty of different color schemes between those two colors. You could add a third one, but it starts getting a little difficult in the sense that if you're only using one mask file, you have to use color number 2 because color number 1 doesn't do anything. So I didn't want to add a third one and make things really confusing because I'm not super experienced with materials. In fact, I'm hardly experienced with material tweaking whatsoever. And I just, I got lucky and managed to figure this out. So you can see the color schemes for the armor. Now you can do the exact same thing for the hair. So again, see, I just chose the color, and you could easily just choose whatever one you want. Maybe I want green hair, done. So you can see color 1 doesn't do anything. And I don't need any mask files for this because you're not masking anything out. It's all a solid single color. But the way the logic in the blueprint works is it uses the last color as the final alteration, and I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. I don't know myself exactly why it works that way. I'm sure there's other ways I could tweak the code, but like I said, I'm not knowledgeable in that regard. So you can see you've got plenty of options when it comes to the blacksmith for the armors, and then the same thing for the women here. You can tweak the hair color, and you can tweak the clothing. And I've masked out the leather belts, the leather piece here, the pouch, and the bag, completely masked out so that they never get colored. That way you can, freely tweak to your heart's content without having to worry about, okay, well, yeah, I want the purple dress, but now her bags are purple too. It looks hideous. So you can see color 1 is the purple, color 2 is the blue, which is also here and there and there. I did forget to change the necklace band. So I will need to do that in a future update. And you can see if you get up close, you can actually see the colors kind of bleed through a little bit. That's just, the it's kind of difficult to set up masking to work perfect. Like see right there on the tips, they're still white because just the way the masking works is, and the blending of the textures, and when it's all in one single file makes it a little bit difficult to get it perfect. But I mean, honestly, who's going to be looking this close up? You know what I mean? Like you don't, especially if you're like a 2D game, not 2D, like a top down, you're never going to see super close detail. So plenty of nice options you can end up tweaking for the female character as well. So we'll just kind of demonstrate that one as well real quick. There's the red. And now if you use white, it's just going to go back to the grayscale, right? I choose basic white all the way around. It's not actually choosing a white texture or a white color. It's defaulting back to what's in the file here, your base color. See, the base color is actually a grayscale. And I've masked out the bags and stuff, the colors that I wanted to stay the same and never be tweaked. You can clearly see them here, whereas everything else is white and gray or up to black. If it's black, usually you just want white, gray. You don't want to mess with black too much. More on that in the other video. So you can see that there. And then of course we have this one. Now this character took me quite a while to get just right. There was just the texture file. There was a lot of different parts for each belt and the little lines here, and then the different armor pieces because the book's a separate piece, the cloak and this white part are separate pieces. So again, you can see the metal pieces like here stay metal on the book stays the same, the metal here stays the same. I tweaked the belt so that it's just a silver all the time. And there you go, and you can get some really nice color mixes with this character. This one just turned out probably the best. And I also made a two color setup for the staff as well, so that if you want to tweak the staff's wood color, any of that kind of stuff. Okay, we want the weapon. Then that's completely an option. You have full control over the wood color, as you can see there. And of course the gem color as well as the handle cloth that's there. So you can kind of get some nice little combinations going there. And again, all these use just a single, well, technically it's not just a single texture, right? It's got to load the base texture in memory, which it always was anyways, plus the emissive, which was another default N-Hance one. But now I've added 2 more. So now you're using what, 5, 2, 3, 4? Yeah, you're using 5, whereas before you were using 3. But you would end up duplicating this over and over and over, tweaking the color, tweaking it. So you'd have, if you got 20 of these chicks in your game, you've got, with different colors, you've got 20 textures being loaded into memory. And if this thing's, 6, 7 MB per, for each one loaded, that's a lot of extra memory being ate up in your VRAM that didn't really necessarily need to be. Now it's just loading it once and just tweaks the color, so it's much more performant that way. So that's always good. So that's basically what you're getting into. If you want these changes, then we will now move on to showing you how it's done. The last one, the granny, you can see I can fully tweak everything. I did not set up for her hair because what grannies this old age is going to have colored hair. If it's something you want, really easy to do, super easy, and I could show you that in the second video. So now let's go ahead and get into the actual act of setting it up. So you can see I have the default stuff here on this other project, right? This is just 100% default N-Hance characters. So what we're going to do is we're going to, for that, so you'll download the pack that I will have uploaded. Once you've unzipped it, you'll have the folder here, right? And this is where all your textures are going to be. So let's just start with the granny. So we will go with materials, look at granny. So I've also included the original file for editing in Paint Shop. Now if you don't have Paint Shop, get Paint Shop. Or something at least similar that you'll be familiar with the tools. So by opening this one file, you can see I have all the mask files, mask 1 and mask 2, and I've got the grayscale, plus I have the original for reference. If you're using Paint Shop, this will be much easier because you can just kind of follow along. You know, you could just drag and drop them wherever you want to see them. So say I tweak the mask 1 and I need to save it. You could just go save as, change it into a PNG file, and now there's all your originals. And just choose whatever one, mask 1, so I'd be overwriting mask 1, save it, yes, overwrite and replace, and a pop-up will ask you to OK it, and you know, it's as simple as that. So, but more on that in the other video. So now we have the textures themselves, right? So inside the main folder itself, we have a file called tmask. This is the file you're going to want to add straight into the, I'm sorry, not the materials. No, we want textures. So navigate to your Stylized Human NPC folder and go into your textures folder. Inside there is where you will be adding this tmask. So you just drag and drop. And now as long as you don't move this folder, these texture files will stay as source. So if I make a change to one of the mask files, I just go into my game, right-click it, re-import, and it just gets it right from its source location. So you can see on the very bottom there, the source file is in that location. So since I dragged and dropped it from that location, that becomes the source. So you'll definitely want to put this folder somewhere where you don't plan to move it. That way you can consistently use it in the future if you need to make any kind of tweaks. Okay, moving on. So we want the granny. So now we can go into the granny folder here. Now we're also going to go into the granny folder for the textures. So now you see we have all the originals, right? What I would recommend doing is right click in the black space, create a new folder, and just name it originals. And we're going to move the colored textures. So that would be the cloth for green, blue, and yellow. And move it into the originals. And then you're going to do the same thing. You know, I totally forgot the granny had a staff. I never set that one up. Might have to do that later. I believe that's it for the granny. We don't have to do anything else. So now we're going to come back over here, and we want the grayscale, both mask. This is just an original one from here. I just right-clicked it from this one right here, or I'm sorry, this one. And you can just export it out wherever you need it. And there it is. Then I used it in the Paint Shop file for reference and for tweaking these duplicates. Alright, so once you've added those three in here, right, just drag and drop. There we go. We now have those three. Now we're going to go ahead and go over to the materials folder. So go back to your Stylized Human NPC, go into materials, go into instances, or actually I'm totally skipping a step. So go to your materials. You want to go to your master material, right? Go ahead and open up your master. This is the one that all the materials actually inherit their logic from. So this is what we're going to have to do some tweaking on. Move that to the side here. Let me also get the master material open over on the primary. Okay, so this is the main changes that have been made here. So kind of zoom out on that one a little bit. So we need to get a couple of color or vector parameters, right? So you're going to right click inside your master material. You're going to type in vector P. There it is, vector parameter, right? And we're going to just click on the name there and name it color. And then just, if it's highlighted, Control C, copy it, right? Control V, paste it. Come on, don't be difficult. There we go. And name this color underscore 2. All right, now you notice, see how they have the little checkered board here? Click that and take it all the way to white. Hit OK. Do it the same over here. Take it all the way to white. Also, sorry, your alpha, change that to 1. Hit OK. Come back over to this one. If you still see the white checkered board, it should be pure white. You're just taking your alpha all the way up to 1 and then your color to white. So there we go. Now we have color 2 and color 1. Now what you're going to do is, if you come down here, you can see you have a multiply. Control C, Control V. I'm actually not sure why it's like that, but maybe it'll change once I hook in something. So just like the one over here, so I'm going to hook in the top white node into the A. Actually, let me see if that disappears. It doesn't. Does that just show a preview? I never noticed that before. I'm not really sure what the difference is, so let's just type it out. Multiply. Yeah, okay. So just right click, type in multiply, get a node, copy it so that you have 2 here. You're going to want another one up over here. Right click, type in lerp. We're going to want a, let's see, which one would it be? Linear interpolate. I can't pronounce that. That's the one you want. Okay, so now, let's see, we're also going to want your base color, right? You're going to click your base color, Control C, Control V, and then rename this to mask. And then another Control V. You're going to name this one mask 2. So let's drag this one down just a little bit, make a little bit more room. Let's drag these up a little bit, take these up a little bit. Okay. So now let's go ahead and hook these up. So you're going to hook in this white node up at the very top into the A. Let's see what we have over here. We have another, I don't know why I put in so many multiplies. So we need 2 multiplies and 2 lerps. Okay, so we're just going to copy what we see here. So just kind of follow along. Copy or connect it from there to there. And looks like we're just connecting it. The multiply. Yeah, that looks good. This one's going to go here. This one will go here. Just like that. And this one's going to go straight into A. This one's going to go into B. And then for the alpha, it's going to be mask 1. And then for the one up top, it's going to be into the B. Like so. And then for that one's alpha, it's just mask number 2. Like so. Kind of move those around a little bit. And if you double click on the line here, you can get a little node so that you can move it, kind of organize your lines a little bit. Alright, so that looks about right. Now let's see what's going on with the main line, right? The main line emissive. So now we're going to take you, and we're going to plug you in right here, right? Because that's our result. But we're also going to connect that result. Just double click on a line here, and just connect it over into the A right here where your emissive is. Alright, you're going to hit apply. So that's essentially what your stuff should look like right there. Alright, you got 2 multiplies, 2 lerps, 2 masks, 2 colors. Hook it up just like that into your base color, and the hard work's all done. Because I've already done all the grunt work for you by masking out all the textures and modifications, and that's what's, took me all week to complete. Especially while I was trying to kind of learn paint shop, or paint shop at the same time. Okay, so, and you can see the material looks correct. Oh, I'm sorry, we totally skipped this step here. We need to change these to the T-mask file. Alright, so just drop down, type in T_mask. There's too much going on here. I'm pretty sure that's it. Enhance, modifications, yeah, that's definitely the one. And just right click it, copy, click on this one over here, right click it and paste. Alright. Now we're going to save. Now once you have this main logic done, the rest is fairly easy. So you can see still prevent shaders. Let's go ahead and edit this out. Now we haven't actually made the new material yet. But you will see if I open up the default one, sure enough we have our mask and our 2 colors. Now if I were to change one of the colors, nothing happens. But if I change number 2, you get some color differences. So you could technically just, use it just like that as is, and it's just going to tweak all the full texture that's there based on these colors. Let's see if that actually does anything now. No, still doesn't do anything. So you can kind of play around with using a mask or not using a mask and get different results. Like obviously there's nothing's been masked out. Black means change the color. White means don't change it. So if it's white, if it's a white mask over a texture, like say see this big blue piece here, part of the dress, if that was all white in that exact same spot for the mask or the mask 2, it would not color it either that color 2 or color 1, depending on which slot it's in. So that's how the mask files essentially work. But we do have a mask. So now I'm going to go into the granny, and we're going to change. It's really hard to see. So we got mask, and already now color may or may not work. Usually it doesn't, because I don't know, it's it's weird. You can get some varying results. It's interesting. And there we go. The moment we added in that second mask, now we have fully tweakable colors. So maybe I want a dark green, right? And instead of the blue, I want a yellow. It's more orange than yellow. It really does look more, oh, okay, I see what's going on. So notice how, while it does still work, the colors aren't quite right, right? You can't get the perfect yellow, even though you have yellow. Green seems to work. The cyan blue does not work. Dark blue works. Purple works, but good luck getting pink. Pink's going to be a much more trickier one to get. Red works, and orange of course works. So some of your colors aren't working. That's because your base color is tweaking the colors that are already there, and you know you're gonna get off the wall results because you're not a black and white color scheme. But we have one of those right here. So now if I change it to that, sure enough, now we've got the exact colors that we wanted. So now we have full control over all the shades of the colors that we wanted. Now if your black and white texture is too dark, you're going to have trouble getting those bright shades of colors. So keep that in mind. You want a nice grayscale and not something that's too dark or too bright. The brighter it is, the more vibrant bright you're going to get. But you're going to be killing off your little details that you can kind of see in here if you go too bright white. So kind of keep that in mind if you start tweaking things yourself. So that's basically it. So now that we have that set up, and I mean, obviously I tweaked the main material. What you're going to want to do, if you followed along and you did the same thing, just Control Z a few times until you set everything back to default. All right, save that original back. Okay, so again, you're going to right click in here, you're going to make a new folder, call it originals, and before we move these, we're going to right click on one and duplicate it, and instead of cloth BL1, we're going to just call it custom. Then all the other ones for the armor or the cloth can go into the original. And now we have our new master material that we're going to be using. So now we'll go into our granny, select this new one, place it here. Sure enough, cloth custom, that's good. Compile and save. And now we can tweak this one. That's the wrong one. Now we can tweak. We're done with the master. I am just pushing all the wrong buttons. Okay, so now we can change it to the textures that we want. So we'll change that. We'll put in our mask. Mask 1. Mask 2. We'll save it. Alright, so now we have that color set up, as you can see. Now what you should do as well is, what I like to do is, I will create instances of this rather than duplicate it. Because if you duplicate it and you make one little change to one of your mask files, now you have to go to every last color variation and change it to that, Well, actually, no, that's not true. You don't have to do that. It's just easier to make the changes in one file rather than multiple ones, in case you do happen to have like a variation, like maybe you have 3 different versions of a mask file that you want to use for different ones. You don't want to have to go through and, I could still be wrong. Don't listen to me. Do however you want. You can duplicate it. You can create instances. I like to just create a material instance, rename the instant part to whatever color you want it to be called. So in this one, we'll call it yellow. So see, it's inherited all of the files that you'd already chosen for its parent, the cloth custom, and then you could just enable your colors, and if I wanted yellow, sure, yellow and green, why not? Save it, and there you go. Now you've got yellow and green. And you could just set up all your characters in that fashion. So now you're going to do the exact same thing for all the other characters. And once you're done, set them all up, set your colors up, and you're good to go. So thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions or issues, just let me know. And if you guys are interested in seeing the second video, let me know, and perhaps tomorrow night I'll whip that one up, or come Monday night. Actually, it's the weekend, I'll be too busy. So you guys have a good one, and see you next time.